Every empire believes it has invented a new kind of money. Every ruler, every central bank, every politician likes to think they've discovered a secret tool to make wealth grow, debts disappear, and societies thrive. But here's a brutal truth. Money doesn't bend to ambition, speeches, or promises. Money follows laws. Ancient, stubborn, relentless rules that no amount of optimism can change. These laws have been discovered, ignored, and rediscovered over centuries of boom, bust, and collapse. If you don't understand them, you will always feel powerless, like the system is rigged, like the deck is stacked against you. And in a way, it is. Let's start with one of the oldest lessons in economic history, Gresham's Law. In the 16th century, Sir Thomas Gresham explained it to Queen Elizabeth I. Bad money drives out good. On the surface, it's simple, but in practice, it shapes entire economies. When two types of currency circulate, one trusted, one debased, people instinctively spend the worthless one and hoard the valuable one.
Rome illustrates this perfectly.
As emperors watered down silver denarii with cheaper metals, citizens weren't naive. They paid taxes and debts with the inferior coins while hiding the pure silver. This same pattern repeated across medieval Europe. Whenever kings clipped coins or replaced gold with copper, the lesson is clear. Tampering with money destroys trust, even if the deception seems clever at first. But decay isn't always slow. Sometimes it flips entirely. And that's where Thiers' law comes in. Named after 19th century French politician Adolphe Thiers. It explains what happens when trust collapses completely. In a crisis, good money drives out bad, because people refuse to accept the promises of a failing state. Consider Weimar Germany in the 1920s. Prices doubled every few days. People needed wheelbarrows of banknotes just to buy bread. Nobody wanted to hold marks for more than a moment. They fled into dollars, gold, cigarettes, anything that preserved real value. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and countless other hyperinflations tell the same story. Gresham explains slow decay. Thiers shows total collapse. Between the two lies the gray area where the system appears to function. But in reality, it's already rigged. Enter the Cantillon Effect. Richard Cantillon, an Irish-French economist in the 1700s, noticed something crucial. When new money enters an economy, it doesn't touch everyone equally. Those closest to the source, the government, banks, elites, spend it first, buying goods and assets at yesterday's prices. By the time it trickles down to workers and savers, prices have already risen. After the 2008 financial crash, quantitative easing and stimulus programs lifted Wall Street, while wages for ordinary people barely budged. Inflation isn't just a statistic, it's a wealth transfer. And most of us are on the losing side. Money flows upward, favoring those already holding assets while everyday people watch costs rise and purchasing power shrink. Financial repression takes this inequity even further. After World War II, nations faced crushing debt and few ways to pay it down. Raising taxes risked revolt. Defaulting would destroy credibility. So governments quietly trapped citizens inside the system and drained wealth slowly. Interest rates were kept artificially low, often below inflation. Capital controls limited people's ability to move money or invest abroad. Savings accounts lost value year after year, while governments inflated away debt quietly, invisibly. Fast forward to today, and we see the same strategy replayed. After 2008, rates stayed near zero for over a decade. In 2020-2021, rates collapsed again. Ordinary people watched their savings erode while housing, stock markets, and real estate surged. Few noticed. Even fewer understood that this was a continuation of the same playbook designed decades ago. Now, zoom out to the global stage. Triffin's paradox. the reserve currency trap. In the 1960s, economist Robert Triffin warned that being the world's reserve currency is a double-edged sword. The US had to supply dollars to the world to support global trade. That required running chronic trade deficits, spending more abroad than it earned. In the short term, it worked. The world trusted the dollar and commerce flourished. But over decades, it became unsustainable. Factories left, debt piled up, and domestic economic health suffered. When Nixon ended the gold standard in 1971, the paradox was confirmed. The power to dominate the global economy comes with hidden costs, often borne by ordinary citizens. The dollar props up Wall Street while Main Street pays the price. Goodhart's law adds another layer of frustration. In the 1970s, economist Charles Goodhart noted a simple, devastating truth. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being reliable. Governments love numbers. 2% inflation, 5% unemployment, 3% GDP growth. On paper, they indicate stability. But once those numbers become political goals, they distort reality. Inflation targeting keeps official rates low, but housing, healthcare, and education costs soar. GDP growth looks healthy on spreadsheets, but everyday people struggle to make ends meet. Metrics that were supposed to reflect reality now hide it. And then there's the law of diminishing returns on debt. Debt fuels growth at first. Borrow $1, gain $1 or more in return. But as borrowing accumulates, each new dollar produces less. $1 buys 50 cents of growth, then 25, then even less. Eventually, growth stalls entirely, yet borrowing continues. Rome debased coins when expansion slowed. France borrowed itself into collapse before 1789. Britain strained under post-war debts. Today, America finds itself in a similar phase. Over $30 trillion in debt, propping up markets and entitlements while real growth falters. Borrowing doesn't solve problems. It only buys time. When you step back, the picture becomes chillingly clear. Money is not magic. It obeys hard, immutable laws. Bad money drives out good. Crises force people toward sound assets. New money favors the few. Governments quietly repress citizens to erase debt. Reserve currencies destabilize themselves. Numbers mislead. Debt devours itself. These are not academic curiosities, they are survival codes. They explain why wages stagnate, why mortgages feel heavier, why savings vanish while stock markets soar. The hardest truth? The game was never meant for ordinary people to win. Transparency binds you. Secrecy empowers the elite. You pay taxes, they shift assets. You earn wages, they receive money first. You hold cash that loses value. They hold assets that appreciate. Everyday citizens feel robbed, powerless, and confused. History doesn't repeat exactly, but money obeys its laws. Ignore them, and you'll be crushed just the same. If you think this sounds cold, remember, understanding these rules isn't just about doom and gloom. It's about awareness. Knowledge gives you power. It allows you to recognize patterns, make smarter decisions, and protect your wealth. The system may not be designed for you to win, but if you know the laws, you can survive, adapt, and maybe even thrive. If this opened your eyes even a little, hit subscribe. History has answers, and I'll show you where to find them.